methodology or your research design for the manuscript. First mistake a lot of writers make is this, especially PhD and master students. Oh, this data is from my dissertation, so I'll just copy and paste chapter 3 onto the manuscript. No, you only need maybe three paragraphs to explain your research methodology, not the whole chapter. Okay? When you write your research methodology, reflect, is the research methodology or research design written in enough detail to prove to the editor and the peer reviewer that scientific rigor has been practiced in your research? Okay? Is the research methodology or research design written in enough detail that exhibits a firm academic foundation to validate the findings? These are the two things we look for when we review a paper. Okay? These are the two things we look for when we evaluate a paper. So, sometimes, excuse me, very good cake. Excuse me, right? What some do is they copy the whole of chapter 3 and they paste. The other mistake that we make is we don't give enough detail. So let's look at this. Exercise number 3, adding necessary detail. I have seen papers sent to me like this. A qualitative stance was taken for the research, and they think that's enough. What are the details that are missing? A qualitative stance for the research was taken. What's missing here? Yes. Wait, before we go to sample, population, and all of that, ask this question. Why was a qualitative stance taken? Then you can say a qualitative stance was taken for the research because the population is a hidden or marginalized population. For example, if you're doing your research on HIV/AIDS and your sample population is the sex worker population, can you do quantitative? My joke to my students is this: you can. You're going to spend the next 4 years chasing after sex workers, right? And then your Ajahn will wonder if you're really doing academic research or personal research, right? Why did you take a qualitative stance? If you took a quantitative stance, why did you take a quantitative stance? Then after you explain, a qualitative stance was taken for the research because the population being studied is a hidden population. Okay? The sample was found where? How many respondents did you find? What were their age ranges? Okay? Then you give the detail. Let's look at the next one. Multiple regression analysis was used for data analysis. What's missing? Thank you. Thank you. Nama siapa? Novi. Saya juga ada bekas murid, nama dia Novi juga. Selamat datang ya. Why was multiple regression analysis used? Multiple regression analysis was used for the data analysis because it would provide the necessary numerical data to answer the research question or to gain enough significant data to prove the academic stance of the author. To put this or this alone is not enough. Next one. Purposive sampling was used. What's missing? Why? Why was purposive sampling used? Even if I am doing a research here at Mahidol and I want to look for a sample of female postgraduate students, that means PhD students, right, from Myanmar, I have to explain that. Because I cannot go to any student in Mahidol and say, fill out my survey, please. Why? Because they don't meet my sample population. You need to explain why purposive sample was used. And I use this example with my students. If you want to do a research on household spending habits of housewives in Thailand, it's very easy. Ya, berapa banyak mereka menggunakan duit untuk membeli barang-barang di Tesco ke, di Carrefour ke, di Pasaraya, right? You all are lost, right? How much they spend when they buy groceries. You can go and, for those of you who live in Salaya, you can go to Tesco Lotat. Notice it's Tesco Lotat, not Lotus. You can go to Tesco Lotat on a Saturday and on a Sunday and just ask any lady that walks by, excuse me, are you a housewife? Are you Thai? My name is so-and-so. I'm doing a research. Can you please fill out my survey? But can you imagine if you're doing a research on commercial sex workers and you try and do it in Tesco Lotus? Women are pushing their carts with the baby. Excuse me, are you a sex worker? At once you'll get slapped. Right? You need to answer the question, why was purposive sampling used? The total sample was 200 respondents. Explain why you got 200 respondents. Is it because multivariate regression analysis requires a minimum of 200 respondents? The total sample was 200 respondents to meet the requirements of the use of multiple regression analysis. I love this one. Privacy, confidentiality, and security was assured. What's the big question? What's the big question? It's not why. How did you do it? Whenever you write in a manuscript, whether it is for publication or for your dissertation, for all of you doing your masters and your PhDs, explain how did you maintain privacy, confidentiality, and security? And those are all different things. Privacy, security, and confidentiality are different. My students, what's the difference? And I love this response. When I ask my students, what's the answer? I always get the same response. Not y'all, then y'all know. What is privacy? What is privacy? Privacy itu apa? Okay, we keep their identities secret. We keep their identities secret. I'll tell you, this was very difficult. I did my PhD dissertation on the sexual identity and sexual behavior of gay men as it is connected to the HIV/AIDS epidemic in Penang, Malaysia. I did my research qualitatively simply because I could not do it quantitatively. I had to interview my respondents. One day I went shopping with my mom. And one of my respondents saw me, "Hi, Mark. Hi, how are you? How's life treating you? Oh, good. Da, 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 da." And then he went on his way. And then my mother asked me, "Who is that?" "Friend." Oh, Asian mothers, no matter how old you are, they like to be busybodies, right? Your friend, where did you meet? How long do you know? What's his job? I'm like, "Mom, he's a friend. We go to the same gym, okay?" Even my point is this. Even from my own mom, the person who knows most of my secrets, I cannot say, that one I interviewed. 1 year, 12 sex partners. That one, and then the other one. I cannot say that, right? So that is what we mean by privacy. What is confidentiality? Privacy means keeping the identity secret. Confidentiality means keeping who said what private. Keeping it secret. Okay? And what is security? What is security? Safe. How do you keep your data safe? For example, how many passwords do you have? If you keep all your data in your laptop, how many passwords do you have so that your 5-year-old children are very smart with computers? You put a computer there, you say, don't play with it, they will find a way to break your password. Right? iPhone even worse. Wrong. And they get in. Right? How secure do you keep your, for example, all of the data? How do you lock it in your computer? If you are using your phone for interviewing, how do you make sure nobody can touch your phone and get away with it? How well do you keep your iPhone safe? Right? And so how do we usually do this? For all the postgraduate students, it's called a read. Consent form. Okay? Privacy, confidentiality, and security was assured by getting informed consent or having the respondents sign a consent form. This consent form was approved by the ethics committee or the ethical board or the internal review board of the university or the hospital. It's not enough to just give point form like this. You need to explain. Okay? Now, moving forward from methodology to findings. Common mistakes that writers and authors make when they submit. They assume that the results require no explanation. A numerical value of more than 0.13 was found. Look, I'm a qualitative analyst. I'm not a quantitative analyst. What does a numeric value of more than 0.13 mean? No quantitative analysts in the room. Everybody doing qualitative research. A numerical value of more than 0.13 was found. What does that mean? Was or is that statistic significant or not? Who says yes? Who says no? I will answer this question. I don't know. Because I'm not a statistician. I'm a qualitative analyst, right? So if you say the numerical value was less than 0.13, this indicates that, what? There is no correlation or significance between this variable and that variable. Disorganized presentation of results. Oh, look, I've done my field work. 2,000 questionnaires, clean data. I'll just take everything and throw it into the article. No. You must organize your presentation of facts. This goes back to what I mean just now, organizing the content. You already have the structure. Now you have to organize the content to show what is significant and not significant. How do you do this? Very simple. Have two subsections, right? Significant findings, non-significant findings. This tells the editor and the peer reviewer, this is good data analysis. This is good findings. All right? Unstructured presentation that does not meet the focus of the research or does not answer the academic debate presented in the introduction. This is what happens when you just take all of the data and throw it into the findings. And you say, it's not my job. Let the reviewer or the editor read slowly. Because my data is so important. I have 2,000 respondents. Right? Have you heard of this expression? I'm not saying this, but it's an expression in English. Don't you know who I am? Have you all heard that expression before? Usually when people write, their thinking is different. Don't you know who I think I am? When you get your data, make sure that it is clear. Okay? Reminder, just because you have results does not mean that the results match the purpose of the manuscript. Be aware of matching the results with the research focus and the academic debate. Okay? When I finished transcribing my research interviews, I had a stack of papers this thick. It would have been so simple. Take everything, put it, in my dissertation, and go to my professor and say, Prof. Ismail, look, my dissertation is 500 pages thick. Very good, right? I had to only pick and choose what answered my purpose in doing my dissertation. This is why whenever students say, I will just copy and paste all of my findings and put inside, I say, please don't. If you do, and if the editor or the reviewer has trouble reading or understanding your findings, out the paper goes. Out the manuscript goes. So, for yourself, let's do this. It's a quick exercise because I've only got 50 minutes. How would you, actually I used the wrong word, it's not structure. How would you organize the information and erasing the unnecessary? This is about organizing your data. Not structuring, sorry, it's organizing. Okay, let's look at these 4 statements. Statistics that show a numerical value of less than 0.12 were achieved. Overall analysis of the data presented that the population did not favorably view the use of pesticides in farming. However, in other quadrants, a numerical value of more than 0.13 were found. In the opinion of the author, I think that this is good. Let's look at this. Should this be your first statement? Or should this be your first statement? Or should this be your first statement? Which do you think should be your first statement? This one. Who says number 1? Raise your hands high. Be proud of your answer. Who says number 2? Who says number 3? Who says number 4? Who doesn't know? Never mind, if I keep my hand down, he won't look at me. Ladies and gentlemen, begin with an overall statement for your paragraph. Overall analysis of the data presented that the population did not favorably view the use of pesticides in farming. 1. Statistics show that a numerical value of 0.12 were achieved. However, in other quadrants, a numerical value of more than 0.13 were found. Here's the question. What do we do with this statement? In my opinion, findings, ladies and gentlemen, you do not put your opinion. You put in an explanation, but not your opinion. This is another mistake a lot of people make when they write a manuscript. In my opinion, you know how I learned not to write in my opinion? I wrote it for my proposal defense. And I had a very tough examiner. He was also one of my committee members, Associate Professor Sundaramurthy Padmanathan. Oh God, that man used to scare me. I said in my proposal defense, in my opinion, he turned on the mic. Who are you to have an opinion? And he said, Mark, because you are my student, I am not going to bomb you today. Stick with the facts. What do the facts show? What does the theory show? When you have passed the dissertation defense, which I don't think you will today, sakit hati tau, jet tie, right? And you have gone on to do your field work, and you have all the data that you need, and you have connected the data to your conceptual framework and theoretical framework, then I will allow you to have an opinion. Right? In your findings, do not put things like, in my opinion. Okay? Good, we're proceeding this quite fast. Discussion. Now, what are some common mistakes? Emotional and irrational statements. Prostitution is bad. How many men disagree? All the men like, oi. Right? Prostitution is bad. Therefore, the police must arrest all of them and throw them into jail. Hello. Right? That is what I mean by an emotional or an irrational statement. In academic writing for publication, you need to stick to the facts. The data shows that 92% of the respondents who are commercial sex workers entered sex work because of financial or economic problems. This indicates that. Indicates what? High levels of poverty in a country can lead to the choice of entering sex work willingly to circumnavigate poverty. Don't make irrational and emotional statements. Another irrational statement that I love to read and then I laugh. Irrational statement. My data proves. Really? Your data proves? My data proves that sex work is bad. Really? And I always very gently ask my students, does it prove or does it suggest? Oh yeah, Ajahn suggests. You see, you have to remember, you are studying a very small population at a very specific period of time. Even if you're a pure scientist, right? These are the experiments. You cannot say this definitely proves. You can use verbs like suggests, indicates, signals. Do not make sweeping statements like, my data proves. Okay? The the editor and the peer reviewer will look at it and go, really? How did you prove it? Shall we take it to court and have a big legal case to see that it's proven? Right? We already covered sweeping statements. Now, Another mistake is when there's no connection to past literature. What does the literature in your background or your literature review prove? Or what does it show? Maybe your literature shows in the past, right, television was a very, very good medium for disseminating public health messages. Correct? National TV. You put an advertisement on how to avoid getting dengue. How many people watch TV? In the past, everybody watches TV. Now, what do people watch? Do people watch national TV? No, what do they watch? Satellite TV. Or they use the smartphone. How many people actually watch TV anymore? Do you know when it's a good time to put an advertisement against dengue in Southeast Asia? Do you know during satellite TV, do you know during which program? K-drama. Because everybody is watching K-drama. I was shocked. My younger brother is this big, tough guy. You see him, you get scared. Okay? Big, tough guy, tattoos here, tattoos here, tattoos here. I sent him a message one day. He didn't reply. I'm like, I need the information reply. Wait, watching K-drama. It's like, okay, I'm leaving that one alone. But now, we can say, past literature shows that television was a good way of disseminating public health information. But now, based on the research, more and more people are getting their information from, well, the smartphone says, but apps, or updates, or YouTube, or Facebook, or Instagram, or Twitter. Would that not be a better way of disseminating information? Right? Use it. I always tell my undergraduate students, you know, I teach first year undergraduate students, 18 years old. So young. Every year I teach them, they're still 18 years old, and every year I become older. Instead of using their smartphones for information, what do? And I don't know what they especially, and they think I cannot see. They're doing it in my classroom or my lecture halls, especially the girls. No offense to the ladies in this room. I ask them, hello, are you a student or are you modeling? Which one? So remember, in your discussion connected to past literature, another mistake is they do not address the research question and research objectives. They just say, here is my data. Here is my discussion, full of irrational, emotional, and sweeping statements. Publish me. No. Go back to addressing the research question and the research objectives. And another mistake is they make personal pleas. It's not a spelling mistake. It's the plural of plea. Okay? A personal plea is like, with this data, we must make sure that our young children are protected from all the perverts and drug addicts. And I'm like, for goodness sakes, you're trying to become Prime Minister of Malaysia, is it? Right? Do not make personal pleas. Remember, we talked about academic objectivity and neutrality. So these are some common mistakes, ladies and gentlemen. These all are your goals. If you look at all the notes that I hope y'all will keep, I hope that y'all will keep, not, to take and fold and put underneath the door so that the door won't close, right? Y'all will take and y'all will use it as you write. And it will help to guide you. Now, these are your goals. I was asked this question during the break. How do I choose which journal to publish. Now we come to the part on strategies. When you select a journal, ladies and gentlemen, look, we have this wonderful thing called Google. Okay? Better still, we've got this thing called Google Scholar. Y'all are looking at me like, Google Scholar? Only YouTube. Right? When we go into Google or Google Scholar, we can pull up journals. Right? And all journals will have a website. I used this example just now. A student of mine came to me and said, I want to publish. I said, great, fantastic. What is your paper about? Family. I Googled it. There are about 24 Scopus listed journals with the word family in it. Which one do you send it to? Go to each journal, look at their website, and read in detail the focus. They might say family and health, but maybe family and health focuses on obstetrics and gynecology. Okay? International Family and Health might focus on emerging diseases. Okay? The Asian Journal of Family Health might focus on childhood diseases. What is your paper on? Find a journal that matches what your manuscript is about. Okay? It's like looking for a wife or a husband. To all the monks in the room, please excuse me for I keep using these examples. Right? You want to find the right match. Don't randomly send your manuscript just because, oh, my paper is about family, Journal of Family and Health, I'll send it. What's going to happen in 1 month or 2 months? They will send you a rejection letter. Thank you so much. What happens to you? You've wasted 2 months. You've wasted 2 months. Go and find the specific journal that publishes what you have written about. Okay? In their website, they might have online copies of the journal. Read past examples of the types of subjects, areas, and manuscripts that the journal has published. This will give you an idea as to whether or not they will be interested in your manuscript. Once you know exactly what they want, okay, you know how to choose which journal to send it to. Now, be aware of timelines for the review process. Look, I'll be very blunt. Some journals will say we are an international journal and we promise a turnaround of review in 3 months. Nonsense. Like I said, it depends on their reviewers. Sometimes it might take, if you're lucky, 3 months. Like myself, I waited 1.5 years. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting on one more article that I've sent in. Right? But at least that gives you an idea of how long the review process will take. Okay? As I've said just now, do not pay to publish. It's a waste of your talent. They will tell you we accept $30 per page. And you're so desperate to publish so that you can graduate and get out of Mahidol University. And you start counting, okay, 20 pages, $30, $600. $600 is how many baht? Multiply by 35, I think, at today's exchange rate. Okay, maybe if I go and ask Ajahn Mark to lend me some money, I can get published tomorrow. Don't waste your talent. A strategy, especially for all the PhD students and the PhD students, not master students, right? A clue for the PhD students, if you have to publish in a Scopus listed journal before you graduate, before you start writing your chapter 4 and your chapter 5, write your article first, your manuscript, and send it in first. Because writing your chapter 4, your chapter 5, and then the back and forth between you and your Ajahn, and then the setting of the date for the dissertation defense, and then the timeline for you to make corrections after, it might be anywhere between 6 months to 1 year. In that time, you could already be published, and you would have crossed that hurdle. When you finish your dissertation defense, maybe 2-3 months, they might come back to you and say, okay, we're publishing you, and you're free. Can you imagine if you wait till after your dissertation defense, and then you start writing? That's going to take you 2 months. You send it to a publication, another year. 14 months. You're sitting around, you finish all of your dissertation, right? But you can't graduate. Why? You haven't published. You're like looking at me like, I don't know why. It's because you haven't published yet. So write. I mean, this is a strategy I advocate for my own students, right? Pew isn't here today, right? When you finish your fieldwork, write a manuscript for publication first before you start writing your chapter 4 and your chapter 5. You help yourself by giving yourself more time first, okay? Next part of selecting a journal. Review the submission process. Understand what the process is, because some journals will require you to sign an indemnity form. You need to sign the form, scan it, upload it to your email, and then send it off. Some do not. I remember one of the first articles I sent in, I forgot to sign 1 page. 2 weeks later, I got an email. Dear Dr. Felix, thank you very much for your submission to blah, 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 this journal, right? Unfortunately, your submission is incomplete. Your submission form was not signed on page 3. Kindly fill out the form again, sign it again, and submit it to us within 24 hours. Make sure you understand what are the rules and regulations of the journal you want to publish in. Now, communicate professionally with the editor. Do not plead. Do not make it personal. Do not speak badly of other journals. What do I mean? When you submit your manuscript, they might ask you to write a cover letter. Okay? Do not say things like, please help me. I have to publish so I can graduate. I need to publish so I can get promoted at my job. Please, 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 please help me. Look, I have been a teacher for 17 years. Wait. This is the start of my 18th year. Right? For 1 whole semester, I will tell the student, please study. Please do your assignments. Please do your homework. What do my students do? They don't do their homework. They don't do their assignments. They don't study. And then what happens? 2 hours before the final exam, Ajahn, my neighbors, friends, aunties, cats, pet goldfish died. I'm so sad. Please be kind to me during the exam. And knock your head, I tell you. Do not plead. Keep it very professional. Dear editor, I wish to submit a manuscript named, okay, Impact of Rice Farming on blah, 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 for consideration of peer review and publication in the Journal of Social Sciences and Humanities. Right? I look forward to a speedy reply from you and your editorial team. Yours sincerely, Dr. Mark Felix. End of story. Don't have to write grandmother's, grandfather's stories. Okay? Do not make it personal. Do not make it, when I say do not make it personal, right? When they send you a rejection letter, we thank you very much for your submission, but it doesn't fit into what we... You people are fools. You are not professional. You don't know what you're doing. How dare you reject my manuscript? You must be a bunch of morons working. Don't make it personal. You know why? After you send it to them, you offend them, you might want to send another manuscript to them. And they look at it and go, oh, Mark Felix, yeah. This is the one that called us morons the last time. Do not make it personal. Do not speak badly of other journals. I am writing to you and sending you my manuscript for publication. The reason I am sending it to you is because the Lancet, the and the New England Journal of Medicine don't know what they are doing. They cannot recognize how much of a genius I am. Ladies and gentlemen, do not speak badly of other journals. Very firm, very crisp, very clean, very professional. End of story. Okay? Follow this strategy for aiming for the journal that will publish you. Okay? Those are the tactics. Another one. Look for special issues. Okay? This was one of the strategies, one of my friends, when we were doing our PhD together, this is what he did. Once a week, he would go online and just type in special issue. I don't know which, I think it was Google or Google Scholar, and they would tell you, for example, this journal in 6 months wants to publish a special issue on this. It may just be in the same area as what you are doing. Look out for special issues. Scan their websites to know when the next special issue is announced. Connect with the editor and ask if they have any special issues in the future. There's no harm. Be proactive with your work. Write to them and say, hi, good morning, or good afternoon, whatever. My name is Mark Felix. I'm an educator at Mahidol University. My area of specializations are this. Just wanted to know if you have any special issues coming up. They might just say, oh, yeah, our special issues coming out. Here's the web link, go to it. And you look at it, okay, maybe not this special issue. Then you write to another one. There is nothing wrong with being proactive about wanting to publish. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are the strategies. Let's look at the tactics. Now, this you can do on your own, okay? First of all, please proofread. To my students, please proofread. I spend most of my time correcting spelling mistakes more than anything else, right? Common mistakes like spelling and grammatical errors are easily caught this way. Look through your own work. Double check that all your citations are in the reference and everything that you have in your reference is in your main text as a citation. Better still, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a trusted friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, let them read your manuscript. You know why? You have spent weeks, months writing this manuscript. You are used to seeing your own mistakes. It doesn't register as a mistake anymore. Get a fresh pair of eyes, right, to look at your work. Proofread it. How do you proofread? First of all, ladies and gentlemen, run this wonderful thing on Microsoft Word called Spell and Grammar Check. Right? Run it through. But don't stop there. Then read your manuscript word for word, sentence by sentence, line by line. It will stop you from making really, really silly mistakes. Okay? Next, edit, edit, edit. Proofreading and editing are different. Proofreading, you are just finding out the spelling and grammatical errors. Editing is being professional and removing extra information, information that is repeated or information that is invalid. You have to look at it and say, I've written this paragraph really well, but it does not fit into this manuscript. I am removing it. Look, publication can be very painful because you have to kill your own work sometimes. Okay? You have to kill your own work sometimes. You have to look at it and go, highlight, then find the delete button, and it disappears. But you need to be tough enough and professional enough to know what is extraneous, what is invalid, and what is repetitive. This makes your work cleaner. If your work is cleaner, it's easier for the editor or the proofreader, the peer reviewers to read. Okay? Double check all charts, graphs, and diagrams for correct numerals and labeling. Okay? Look, when I draw diagrams, I use Microsoft PowerPoint, this one. Yeah? And then I copy it onto Microsoft Word. And then I pray to Lord Buddha, please don't let the lines run. Please. Because if it suddenly becomes too big or too small, guess where the label goes? The next page. Then I've got to take my cursor to the corner and then push in, push in, push in. Make sure, and just to make sure that it fits. So, under your tactics, double check all charts, graphs, and diagrams for correct numerals and labeling. Next one, this is probably the most difficult part. Be critical of your own work. Now be realistic with yourself. This honesty will show you where your weaknesses of your manuscript are. Look at it. Ask yourself, yeah, I'm happy with this work. I'm proud of this work. But where can it be better? How can I make this better? Okay? And where it is necessary, ladies and gentlemen, make changes. Make changes. That is why, when I hear people, my fellow students when I was still at University of Science Malaysia, when they say things like, oh, I'll finish writing the paper tonight. When did you start? I'll start tonight. Really? You're very good, right? How much coffee are you going to drink tonight to stay awake to finish this paper? This is where people rush through writing the manuscript and they think it's good. No, we need to be able to stop and say, these are the changes that I need to make. Okay? Now get a peer or a colleague to review your work and accept criticism or feedback graciously. Look, if one of my colleagues gave me a paper and said, could you please review it? I'm more than happy to do the favor. But they also have to understand I'm giving them my time. Right? All of us have 24 hours in one day, right? Anybody here with 25 hours? I want to know where you bought it. Amazon.com, is it? All of us have 24 hours in one day. I have so much work to do, right? So if I say, yes, I will help you, I'm giving 2 to 3 hours of my time, usually at night, to read through it. So if I give you feedback, right, or if they give me feedback, whichever, or I appreciate the time, I don't say, why so many criticisms? Why so many? I love to use it. It's the review function in Microsoft Word, you know, add comment, right? It takes me time to find it, an argument, it takes me time to actually type it out, right? So when a person does that for you, be gracious and say thank you. And understand that feedback is necessary to making your manuscript better. Ask a trusted person to give you honest feedback. Please do not go to anyone who will say only good things to you. Right? If you ever handed a manuscript and the person says, it's perfect, it's absolutely perfect, go and ask somebody else to help you. Okay? Get a person that you trust who will go through your manuscript and really help you. And remember, a fresh pair of eyes will give your work new perspective and catch any mistakes that you have missed. I'll tell you a little secret. The day I submitted my final copy of my thesis, I didn't do it by dissertation, I did it by thesis. This beautiful black book with gold lettering, right? 3 copies had to be submitted to the Institute of Postgraduate Studies of University Malaysia, right? University of Science Malaysia. I have a photograph of it, me holding out the book, happy, smiling. Right? Like I'm advertising toothpaste. I handed it in, I signed the form. Right? Azliza was helping me. Azliza looked at the form, yeah, you check, sign. Anything you want to check, Mark? No, no problem. She's like, okay, very well done. Wait 1 minute, let me go and find another form for you. I'm like, no problem. I opened up, and there it was. Page 23, I forgot a full stop. I was like, close the book and smile. Because if she said, take this back, change and put the full stop in there, I would have cried that day. Okay? You need to be able to get a fresh pair of eyes to help you catch any mistakes. Thankfully for me, I went home and I read the soft copy, and the only thing that was missing was that one full stop. It's only one full stop, ladies and gentlemen, but what a silly mistake to make. I forgot a full stop. It's on page 23. You can go and look for it in USM's library, right? Get a second person or a third person to actually help you review your work. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've covered in the last 2.5 hours, if you minus the break or so, of how you can make your manuscripts better. Now, this is the most important part to me, the Q&A session. What are your questions? What are your concerns? What are you worried about in terms of publication of your manuscripts? Questions, Q&A. Yes, young lady over here.
As you stated that while submitting our manuscripts, we don't need to write chapter 4, 5 and all those. So it's like submitting a proposal, what we want to do.
A proposal only has chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, right? A manuscript for publication, you don't say chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, but it must have the components in all 5 chapters. You must have the introduction, where you clearly state out what your research is all about. You need to have some of the literature review in the form of a background. You need to show your research methodology, which is from chapter 3. And then you need to show your findings. And then you need to show your discussion. Your discussion where you have recommendations and where you have future research or whatever it is. Do not submit, thank you very much. Brings me to a good point. Do not submit your research proposal to a journal for publication. They will reject it immediately. You must have the components from all the 5 parts of your dissertation in there, but in minuscule form, in a much shorter version. Okay? So don't forget, introduction, literature review, methodology, findings, and discussion. But all you have to say, as I've shown you in the abstract, in your introduction, you can merge introduction and literature review. Just the information, okay? Then your methodology, then your findings, then your discussion. Very good example. What is your area of research, young lady, please?
Cardiovascular nursing.
Cardiovascular what?
Nursing.
Cardiovascular nursing. Okay, go into the like the International Journal of Nursing and read the manuscripts in there. It will give you an idea of what your manuscript for publication will look like. And just to be clear, your manuscript format is very different from your dissertation format. Okay? Don't send your dissertation for publication and then give your manuscript for your dissertation defense. Both sides you'll suffer. Okay? Very good. Thank you very much for that question.
One more, sir, and we wait one journal at a time, right?
Okay. There's a big question. One journal at a time. If you have only one manuscript, send it to only one journal at a time. Don't send it to 5 different journals, because this is what happens. When you send to 5 different journals, you have to sign now an indemnity that says you are not publishing this anywhere. Because if all 5 journals publish you can say, oh, I got published 5 times. No problem, right? But what happens is the journal community, if they look and they see it's exactly the same work, Journal of Nursing, International Journal of Nursing, Journal of Nursing Southeast Asia, Journal of Nursing Singapore, right? Journal of Nursing America, they will find a way of suing you. Especially the Americans. Right? At worst, that's the worst. At the very least, they will all group together and say, this author has sent the same manuscript to 5 different people. From now on, we blacklist her. We will blacklist her. After this, anytime we get a manuscript from her, we will not even consider it, because she may have sent it to 5 other journals. Okay? Very good questions. Thank you very much, young lady. Any other questions, ladies and gents? This is the worst. This is like when I teach. It's like when you ask, do you have any questions? And suddenly the ceiling becomes so interesting. Oh, look, there are dots on the... Oh, look at the floor. It's made out of wood. Yes, I saw a hand here, Nong. It's okay, it's okay.
Thank you very much. I just need to ensure again about something new in a research to can be published. What the exact meaning of something new? Do we have to make a new product, new variable, or it difference with another result? How if we just prove the theory or framework? It can be published. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. Nama siapa ya? Ajeng. Oh, macam mana nak eja? Ageng. Ajeng. Samalah. What is the name of that famous Indonesian heroine? Raden Galuh Chandra Kirana. Now that's a difficult name to remember, right? So the question was exactly what do I mean by something new in your findings? Okay? For example, like you said, a different variable. Okay? For example, because most of you are midwives, how do women in lower income brackets deal with postnatal or postpartum needs? That's something new, right? The world changes around us every day. If you did a piece of research 10 years ago and you do it now, the result might be different, okay? From my own area, I'm not doing a research on this right now, but 8 years ago when I started my research for my PhD, right, the big thing about safer sex was, to stop from HIV infection was condom use. Now, there is this new development in medicine, PrEP and PEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis and post-exposure prophylaxis. How does the population, how does the population react differently to this new happening? Okay? And when I say it is something significant, it means the results were run again, or the test was run again. But the results were different. Why were the results different? Okay? If, for example, this is for the pure scientists. I feel so bad because I'm leaving out the pure scientists, right? If you run an experiment with, for example, this chemical compound, what if you change the chemical compound? What is the new result that you get? Or does it show up differently? Okay? This is what makes the difference. This is what makes the article interesting, or the manuscript interesting for publication. This is what editors and peer reviewers want to see. So when you run your research, you might change a variable, you might change a population, right? You might change a socioeconomic bracket, or you may just suddenly jump ahead and deal with a population or a group that has never been dealt with before. Okay? For example, with the ASEAN Economic Community, we have so much more mobility in terms of looking for employment. How has that actually changed the socio-demographic need for public health in your country? Okay? Does that answer your question, Ajeng? Yes, thank you very much. Okay, by my watch, I've got 5 more minutes. I'll let you have one more question. One more? Everybody's like, one more? Yes, young man in the gray.
How is your experience of first publication?
How is my experience of publication?
Yes.
Painful. How is my experience of publication? It's this, okay? First of all, you need to be disciplined and say, I'm going to spend this time to write the manuscript. Manuscripts don't happen overnight. They don't happen by miracles, right? A fairy princess is not going to come and write your article for you. You actually have to put in the work. So that requires time. It also requires discipline, because you have to be able to look at your work and say, is this good enough or is this not good enough? That was my experience. My experience was, let's look for the right journal for me to send this to. And I had to do my own research. I mean, most of what I've shared with you today is actually based on my own experience. Okay? And the thing it teaches you the most is patience. The thing it teaches you the most is patience. You submit an article, they say, thank you very much, we'll let you know in 2 months. 1 year later, you're still waiting. Right? But I will say this, all the journals that I've dealt with have been professional. They've been good. When they're ready, they let me know this is what we need, right? They've kept the identity of my peer reviewers completely confidential and private. It is just what the reviewers say should be changed, need to be changed, what's good, what's bad. I maintain the timeline. They give me 2 weeks for changes. I meet that deadline, I submit it, and then they let me know, okay, this is potentially when you will be published. It's not easy, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me. It's not easy. But it's very rewarding when you do. So, like I said just now, if you're a PhD student and you've already finished your field work, right? Write the manuscript first. Find the right journal to send it to. Get the blessings of your Ajahn and send it. And then start writing your chapter 4 and your chapter 5. Because when you write your chapter... Look, when I wrote my chapter 4 and chapter 5, my supervisory team, it was like playing ping pong. I send them the first draft. No, it's like playing tennis. I send them the first draft. They send it back. Corrections. I write second draft. They send it back. Right. Third draft. And that took 6 months. That took 6 months. Because I had to understand that my supervisory team, they were full-time associate professors or full-time professors. They had classes to write. They had research to do. They had their own papers to write. They had more than one PhD student. Right? So do yourself a favor, do the writing of your manuscript first, and then while you play tennis with your supervisory team, your paper is already being peer reviewed and being considered for publication. Okay? My personal experience is it's been good, it's been bad, right? But for my job and for what I love to do, it's just something I willingly and happily do. Okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, in keeping with the time, right? It's nearly 4 o'clock. On behalf of the Faculty of Graduate Studies and also on behalf of myself, I want to wish all of you a very big thank you for being so good and staying for 3 hours on a Monday. On a Monday, right? And spending this time with me. I hope what I have said has actually benefited everyone and will benefit everyone. Please hold on to what I've shared with you, so it will help you in the future when you write your manuscripts. To all our guests from Indonesia, ribuan terima kasih kerana meluangkan masa untuk bersama saya sini di Mahidol University pada tengah hari ini. Right? Thank you very much. Please enjoy the rest of your stay in Thailand. Okay? Thank you very much, everyone. Sawadee krap.